Well, good morning again.
Good morning.
I'm going to start my lesson this morning on Easter, my Easter lesson, with some exciting discovery that I made when I was researching this talk. It's a description of Jesus from an ancient text actually describing him. And it's entitled A Picture of Jesus. It was written by Publius Lentulus, I'm probably killing those names, who was the president of Judea in the reign of Tiberius Caesar. The text was found in an excavated city, carved on a stone in hieroglyphics and written up by a disinterested party. In other words, somebody who wasn't a follower of Jesus or one of the early Christians. They weren't Christians at that time. They were the followers of the way. And so it was written up by someone who wasn't a follower of Jesus. So it's really the most accurate historical depiction that we have of Jesus. And it reads, "There lives at this time in Judea a man of singular virtue, whose name is Jesus Christ, whom the barbarians esteem as a prophet, but his followers love and adore him as the offspring of the immortal God. He calls back the dead from their graves and heals all sorts of diseases with word or touch. He's a tall man, well-shaped, of a lovable and reverent aspect. His hair of a color that can hardly be matched, falling into graceful curves, waved about and parted on the crown of the head, running as a stream to the front after the fashion of the Nazarites. His forehead high and imposing, his cheeks without spot or wrinkle, beautiful with a lofty red." We question a lot the color of her skin. "Beautiful with a lofty red. His nose and mouth formed with exquisite symmetry. His beard thick and of a color suitable to his hair, reaching below his chin and parting like a fork. His eyes bright blue, clear and serene. His look innocent, dignified, manly, mature. In proportion of body, most perfect and captivating. His hands and arms most delectable to behold." I didn't say that right. "Most delectable to behold. He rebukes with majesty, counsels with mildness. His whole address, whether in word or deed, being eloquent and graceful. No man has seen him laugh, yet his manners are exceedingly pleasant. But he has wept frequently in the presence of men. He is temperate, modest, and wise. A man for his extraordinary beauty and divine perfections, surpassing the children of men in every sense." Isn't that amazing? An amazing testimony. An incredible description of Jesus. Think about Jesus. Here was a man expressing perfectly his Christ nature. When people would see him, they would say, as reported in this historical text, he's the offspring of the immortal God. Here comes someone who so represents God that when you see him, you see God. Wouldn't it be great if that could be said of us? Wouldn't it be great if instead of just representing ourselves, people would say, "There goes a representative of God"? Well, I want to have a little fun this morning. I want to count off 12 of you. And when I point to you, I would like you to stand and remain standing. Because I have a very special task for the 12 that I choose.
Okay, we ready? So I'm going to go all the way in the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
You are the 12, and I am the 13. And God has a task for us to perform. And that task is to go out from this room on this Easter Sunday and revolutionize the world. And here is how we're going to do that. We're going to change the way we think about ourselves. We're going to change the way that other people think about themselves. We're going to change the way that we all think about God. We're going to instill in ourselves and other people that we are one with God and God is one with us. And we're going to teach ourselves and others how to express our Christ nature. And we all have to do this in the next 3 years. You may be seated. Because this is the task, right, that was given to Jesus and his disciples. The disciples that he chose. Chosen, by the way, very much like I chose you this morning. Seemingly randomly, unexpectedly, and very, very suddenly. None of you had any idea, did you, when you came to Easter morning service, that you were going to be chosen to revolutionize the world? The 12 of you that stood up, did you know that? Well, the same is true for Jesus' disciples. They had no idea that they were going to be chosen. But just like you, they were pointed out one by one. They left their nets, their tasks at hand, and all the busyness of their days, and went on a 3-year pilgrimage with Jesus to change themselves and to change the world. And this morning, if you and I decide to give ourselves totally to God, holding nothing back, to give totally to God and to God's mission here on earth, we too can join the ranks of Jesus' disciples, of God's representatives in this world. That is really the message of Easter. The message of Jesus' ministry, the message of unity. You and I are called each and every day, each and every Easter, to follow the way. Capital W-A-Y. That's what Christianity was called in the beginning. The way. To follow the way to our Christ expression. And today I'm going to use the hidden meanings within the Easter story to show you the way. Ready? And I'm going to begin, of course, in the Gospels, where it's written after these things, the things the writer is referring to here is Christ, Jesus' crucifixion and death. So he goes, after these things, Joseph of Arimathea, who was a disciple of Jesus, though a secret one, because of his fear of the Jews, asked Pilate to let him take away the body of Jesus. Pilate gave him permission, so he came and removed his body. Nicodemus, who had first come to Jesus by night, also came, bringing a mixture of myrrh and aloes, weighing about 100 pounds. That's what they were going to wrap his body in, 100 pounds of a mixture of myrrh and aloes. They took the body of Jesus and wrapped it with the spices in linen cloths, according to the burial custom of the Jews. Now there was a garden in the place where he was crucified, and in the garden there was a new tomb, in which no one had ever been laid. And so, because it was the Jewish day of preparation and the tomb was nearby, they laid Jesus there. And as most of us know, right, Jesus laid in that tomb, dead, for 3 days. But what do these 3 days in the tomb teach us about becoming a fully realized expression of the Christ? Let me tell you, day number 1 represents non-resistance and humility. We're not going to get there if we resist and our ego wants to be appreciated and rewarded and recognized. Day number 1 represents non-resistance and humility. It's about getting to that point in my life when I said, I've tried everything that I know to get out of the tomb in my life, but I can't do it alone. I need help. I need to turn to God. I can get through any obstacle, any challenge that I face if I turn within to my God self. So day number 1 represents non-resistance and humility. Day number 2 represents taking on divine activity by being open and receptive to that activity of God. This is praying and saying, not my will, not the way I want to do it, but God's will be done in me and through me and as me. Opening myself up by consenting in mind and heart totally and completely to that flow, that activity of God. Using me as a channel, as an instrument, as a vessel. You know, a lot of you who know me know my favorite prayer, know what's in my mission statement. You know, may I be a channel of truth, an instrument of peace, a vessel of love, a beacon of light, an expression of joy, an example of your living presence, God. Let it be. Let it be. So day number 2 represents taking on divine activity by being open and receptive to the activity of God being you. Day number 3 represents the assimilation and the fulfillment of divine will. In other words, on day number 3, I become God's representative on earth. On the 3rd day, I become so filled with God's divine activity that people no longer see any separation between me and God. I act and speak as the Christ. Day number 3 represents assimilation and the fulfillment of divine will. Divine will is that we are living, breathing representatives of God in this world. People say, what's my purpose in life? Your purpose is to express your Christ self. That's your purpose. It may come up in lots of different ways of how you do that, but we have a shared purpose to be what we've been created to be, God in expression. So let me return to the Easter story. Early on the first day of the week, while it was still dark, Mary Magdalene came to the tomb and saw that the stone had been removed from the tomb. Just a side note, it's really important to know that the tombs of that day were hewn out of rock, out of solid rock. And even more important than that to know is the size and the weight of the stones that would be placed in front of the tombs. They were solid granite wheels, about 8 feet in diameter and averaging about 1 foot in thickness. And the experts say that to roll away that stone in front of Jesus' tomb, which was sitting in sand, takes the energy and strength of 4 tons. This certainly wasn't the strength of Mary Magdalene that morning. But she's the one who first discovers that the stone has rolled away. You know, the stone being removed represents to you and me all the human limitations, all the human conditions that take up our energy, take up our strength in this human experience.